Where has the Sabres offense gone? UPL does not seem to be getting any support. More on that and more coming up. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sabres Edge, brought to you by Nickel City Mafia. It is currently February 13th. The Sabres are in the middle of facing the Kings, and it is 5-0 right now. So if you see us glancing over there, that's what we're doing. But yes, our title for this show was written before the Sabres decided they were putting up 5 in 2 periods against the Kings. Lucan is definitely getting a little bit of support this game, and by a little, I mean a lot. But yes, it was true for the past 2 games this week that we were getting goaltending, and we were not getting much offense or defense. So, Timmy, how you doing? It's been 2 weeks since we've talked.
Yeah, I mean, we took our All-Star break last week, so had to go take a vacation, get a little recharge. My vacation was still in Maine, but no, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, much better than last week. The reason that we weren't here was because I was sick. Sorry, guys. I know you're all looking forward to this day every week, but I'll try not to be sick next week as well.
Yeah.
But no, I'm doing much better. It's lovely to be back, lovely to be here, lovely to be watching games. Even if they're not going well, I still do. I always find myself gravitating back towards watching hockey. But yeah.
Like you said, it's an ironic title because I came into the show just expecting just to be like, you know what? I really just don't care about the Sabres anymore type of conversation. So it's a little different now. I did have a question though. That goalie who's at the end of our intro video, who is that goaltender?
I'm not sure that we can look at it without playing that whole video again. So
I
think it was Levi that was in that clip, but I could be wrong.
Or was it Comrie or was it Anderson? Because
the clips are from last year. So
that's from Levi? Levi had a Sabres helmet at the end of the season?
Yeah, when he came in.
I thought he just played with his Northwestern helmet. Not his Northwestern. Oh, wow, Northeastern helmet. I'm sorry. I've been up since 4 a.m., so we're running on gas right now.
That is okay. Yeah, we got the Levi, not Comrie. So thanks, Mike, for clearing that up for us.
I appreciate that.
All right. So I guess we should, since we have 2 weeks to cover, we should talk about just a little bit of the stuff that happened over the All-Star break. There isn't much, obviously, but we sent Darlene to the All-Star break, or to the All-Star competition, skills competition. Was he in the hardest shot competition? I don't think he won anything particularly. He did have I thought was a very funny video with him going to the aquarium. And if you guys haven't seen that already, it's great. It really shows a different side of the players that we don't normally get to see. Kind of like how we got Jeff Skinner's Between Two Stalls last year, I believe that was.
Yep.
And you get to see just kind of a side of these guys that otherwise is not very present to the public. And it was just cool to see that from Darlene, who isn't a huge talker in general. And maybe there's just a language barrier with that, but I highly recommend it. It's just some lighthearted fun.
Yeah. Did you watch the Owen Power one during the Rookie Awards last year?
where they were in Nashville, like on the
Yeah,
playground. Yeah,
yeah.
that was really weird.
I know. It was like they're trying to go with something there, and it was just a complete fail. It was just awkward. Like, yeah, I mean, you can't enjoy yourself because you're not 21, right? Owen Power.
Like,
It's like, yeah, definitely not an NHL hockey player. Definitely can't get into bars, no problem, without an ID. I mean,
yeah,
what
yeah.
the heck?
I thought that the Rasmus Dahlin one in Toronto was done well though. So
that was definitely better than the Owen Power one. The Owen Power one actually set the Sabres media team back.
yeah,
I would say a few. A few. Oh, look at that! Your
yeah.
dad,
Look
he
at
beat you
that.
to it.
So we were talking about this before the stream started, but Bryson is undefeated right now. He's at 5-0 when he's played in games, and with the score currently being 5-0, it seems like Bryson might collect his 6th win. So Bryson for the rest of the season in the lineup. We currently have some injuries, like Mike is talking about. Samuel
Yeah.
out for the year. Power is week to week. How bad does this hurt us? It doesn't. Bryson gets in the lineup and we win, apparently, because when Bryson is in the lineup, all we can ever think to do is win. But yeah, that was another thing from the All-Star week, I think, was that we got the diagnosis on Samuelson that he's shut down from this for the season. And then, of course, later on during this week, Power hurts himself in practice and is week to week. So we're kind of encountering some weird, unfortunate injuries. But who knows? Maybe that's just what we needed to get Bryson into the lineup.
Yeah. I don't know if people are expecting me to go through my Samuelson injured. What else is new type of skit right now?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's better. I mean, if he keeps on getting injured and this is something that needs to be dealt with, deal with it now, definitely this season too, and come back healthier next year. I mean, this season's all but lost for the team. Sam, I'm going to tell you right now, I know there's always this little bit of hope. There's no hope left for this team anymore. I mean, I know tonight's game is just not going to be, it's going counter to what I was going to plan to say on the show, but I'm done with, I'm hashtag done with the team for the rest of the season because it's lip service from everybody. It's lip service from Granato. It's lip service from the players. And it's lip service from Kevin Adams, too. I'm just done. I'm done with this team. I'm not interested in them. If they come back, if this team regimen comes back next year, then Sabres fans don't even go into the game anymore. I mean, do the opposite of what the Oakland A's fans are doing, where they're trying to keep the team there. So their way of like protesting it is like filling up the stands. Sabres fans, don't show up anymore because this is a joke. This franchise is becoming a joke. This team is becoming a joke. It's time. Change needs to happen for this team because leading up to this game, and they're tricking us with this game because we know next week what's going to happen is they're not going to show up again. They have no heart. They have no determination. The season's lost. I don't care who you trade anymore. Just get it over with this year. I'm sorry. This has been a tough season, and it's just they're not a fun team to watch. They really are not a fun team to watch. It's a slog to get through games and watch them play. It's a slog to listen to them afterwards and just say, well, we just need to play more with more determination. We need to play with more of this, that. And then Giordano's coming on the radio saying the same exact things. And it's just like, you've been saying this all year. Just shut up and give up. I mean, you're a joke of a team. You're a joke of a franchise. It's just, I don't know. I thought about this all day today leading up to this show. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, and I think back to the 05-06 Sabres back when I was in middle school. I'm like, who are the players that kids want to be like on this team? I mean, remember when I was younger, there was like five, 6, 7 players that people had as their favorite players. Who are the favorite players on the team right now for kids? It's probably between 2 players, Tage Thompson and Rasmus Dahlin. That's it. The rest of the team is just like you're a bunch of nobodies. You're a bunch of nobodies in the NHL, and you have to realize that. Your guys are lucky to play in the NHL. You guys are lucky to be playing at the highest level. There's a lot of people who would want to be playing at that level. And you guys just don't play with any sort of enthusiasm. You don't play good or anything like that. It's just, I'm sorry, man. This team's a freaking joke. I'm sorry, Sam. I'm just coming. Maybe I'm a little grumpy because I didn't sleep a lot, but it's a joke. It really is a joke of a team, and they do these things where they win these games or they go on 2-game win streaks, and even their wins aren't even exciting, and their losses are just like. It's just I don't know, man. It's just this is team. I mean, the makeup of this team is just terrible, and changes need to happen. And I don't want Kevin Adams to even be the guy to make the changes on a team. I don't want Don Granado leading this team anymore. I'm sorry. Had to get that out.
It's good that you did, because I think a lot of people are kind of mirroring that sentiment right now, and I think that's something you said when you said you're grumpy with this team. I think that kind of resonates a lot, because I think we're past the point of anger with this specific squad. I was angry earlier in the year because I thought you would be something, and it hurt. It really hurt when you came out and you kind of floundered, and we said, this sucks, but there's a lot of time left in the season, and with that, a lot of time, we've continued to flounder. We're not terrible. We kind of hover near 500 even when we're on our losing streaks. We're still kind of near 500.
Yeah.
And we don't play like we want to change that. And I can no longer be angry about it. I look at the scores and I'm like, oh, look, we lost again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Stuff. I'm annoyed. I'm upset. I can't be angry anymore though. This season to me is just kind of, it happened. I wish it were better. I wish it went better. I wish so many different things could have gone right this year that didn't. I wish I could say that there's genuine, we got so many injuries this year that there's no way that if we were healthy, we would be in this position. I feel like if we were healthy the whole time, we'd still be in this exact position. It doesn't feel like there's anything that you can point to and be like, if this unfortunate thing, then nah, we're just kind of bad and underwhelming, I should say. We're not even that bad. Again, we can stay competitive. We can do whatever. We're not going to make the playoffs. That's just, unless we really rally in a miraculous way, this is not a playoff team right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can make one trade or even two that can salvage the season at this point. I do think where we currently stand during the offseason, you need to make some serious changes, and that includes both players and coaching.
Yeah.
But for the remainder of the season, I don't know. You write out some players' contracts, hope that maybe you build some value on others. Maybe you give Yuri Kulik and Isaac Rosine some shots in the NHL. But yeah, this is where we are in the season right now. And it's not exactly the most fun place, especially because we were talking going into the All-Star break. There's still kind of a chance, but they didn't come back with any sort of fire under their ass.
No.
They came back the same as they went into the All-Star break, kind of checked out. And so here I am as a fan, formally checking out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, I think your dad brought up a good thing. He says he's dead inside. And like you mentioned, that's a lot of Sabres fan at this point, because how much can you care for the team if the players don't even care about the team at all? And yeah, I mean, Mike too, when can we start bringing up guys from the minors? See what I got. Yeah. So yeah, I think if you're a Sabres fan and you're being realistic with yourself right now, I hope you've given up hope on this team. And it's kind of like you even mentioned, you need to make major changes when it comes to the roster too, just because what are they going to do to make next season exciting for the team? Because you played back the same roster last year, so you can't do that again because this roster has been terrible. You're not going to get any big free agents. you're going to have to make some big trades. You're going to have to start giving up either guys that you think are your core, or you're going to have to start giving up some prospects because the young thing. I mean, yeah, it's great to see, hopefully advancements in Kulik and Rosine on the squad. Hopefully getting some NHL time, but that might even be for like some trade bait because at this point, I mean, you got Paterka's on the team that's going to be good. Quinn came back, he's becoming good. I look at those two guys and I see them as the most exciting for the future for this team, especially on offense. But these other prospects, I really just can't get up from because there's just too many of them that are good at offense, and they just don't have any guys who are like, I would say mid 20s to late 20s, kind of hitting their prime type of players who can help out this team now this point, you're losing Sabres fans fast, and you gotta have to somehow get this fan base back because even after these 12 years, I feel like this year has really hit the most. And I think it's just because the hope that they generated last year and then this year and then this year has just been like, you can tell no one knows what they're doing. Coaches, players, Kevin Adams. So no, it's been tough. It's a tough year. So yeah. But yeah, with Owen Power, did they give it week to week? Did they give a timetable or any information on what the injury was about?
Honestly, I just saw that he got injured. I didn't see any like specifics on it.
Yeah, I don't think Granado talked about it this morning, or Kevin Adams talked about it today on the radio either. So interesting, very interesting injury. So yeah. Do you have any other news? I'm sure we're going to be going into the trade rumors, but I think that was pretty much it from the All-Star break, right?
I mean, yeah, from the All-Star break, there was not too much.
Yeah.
There was a coach firing that is kind of, topical given that we're facing the Kings. So I'm going to play this game with you that we played. I forget who the last guy was, but we're going to play this game. Todd McClellan, former coach of the Kings. Yes or no for the Sabres?
He was rumored a couple of years ago wanting to coach the Sabres, right?
I don't know. I don't know much of his body of work outside of what he did with the Kings recently.
Who did he coach before? He coached the Oilers for a little bit, right? When McDavid was a few years ago, I believe.
He started with his first head coaching job was in 2009 with the San Jose Sharks.
Yep,
and he was there for several years before going to the Oilers in 2015-16. And then he was with the Kings in starting in 1920. Sorry.
Yeah. So I remember him from the Sharks years because I believe those were the years where the Sharks were actually making the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, so he made 2 round 3s. So
okay, so it was right. It was probably right before the Sharks started making the Stanley Cup. Or I don't even remember. Would I want him as a coach? Oh, that's a tough question. I don't know what his coaching style is.
It's kind of schemy defensively. Like that's they definitely are a more I don't want to say boring because defense can be very effective in the league, but it's
Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes last year.
right. And I mean, even the Kings in the last few years, like they've been kind of one of those staunch defensive teams. Not as much because honestly, they've had more skill than teams like the Islanders. But
yeah, I'm gonna take a pass on him. Give you my specific reasons or who I would choose over him. I don't, out of available coaches right now, I don't have anybody.
That's why we play this game, right? Because we've talked it over and we're not sure what available coaches we would take right now for like a mid-season change. And so whenever a coach gets fired, we're gonna have this conversation about, is this the available coach that we need for our team? And for me, I think McClellan is one of those guys. Like, I would be pretty lukewarm about, like, I wouldn't hate the idea, but I'm not sure he fits exactly the team, and he's not proven that he can actually win anything. He's brought teams to the playoffs more recently than we've been to the playoffs, but so should have most coaches in the league.
Now there's a rumor, kind of around Carolina, that Brindamore might be out at the end of the season. Would that be someone you would entertain as a coach for the Sabres?
Yeah.
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 I feel the same way.
I obviously, like, again, I'm not a huge fan of necessarily like a very defensive style game, just because I love fast-paced hockey. I love when it's kind of like a firefight. And last year, that was under Granato when it was just high pace. You're gonna lose game 6-5 and you're gonna win them 6-5. That was fun. Even though we didn't make the playoffs, that was fun, and I could watch that for years knowing I wouldn't make the playoffs. Like, it's just fun to watch. That said, I think Rob Brindamore could take us to the playoffs, right? That is nice, and I think he has the ability to do that.
Yeah. I think with him being, too, just a former NHL player, Stanley Cup winner, he's going to keep the players accountable, and that's really what this team needs right now, is a coach that keeps this team accountable. So he'd be a good fit, and I think that would be also leading to somehow forcing Jeff Skinner off the team, because I know him and Brindamore do not have a great relationship with each other.
I mean, at this point in his career, is it safe to say that Jeff Skinner doesn't belong on a winning team? Like, as much as I hate to say it, like, I love him as a person, I love him as a player even, but I don't think, at least at what we pay him and kind of what his role is, that is how you construct a winning roster.
Mm-hmm.
And as he ages, I don't think that that's going to get better.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like a bad player to have around, but I just don't like his track record has proven that
he's going to be at 1,000 games without even making a playoff game in his career. That's insane. He might, I don't know how many players have ever done that in their NHL career, but he's probably one of a few, because you're hitting 1,000 games. You're a pretty decent player, and you're at least making the playoffs once.
Yeah. I mean, like, just even accidentally, most players will find their way in. Like, if you play 1,000 games, like, you should have a playoff game on your resume.
Yeah.
And Jeff Skinner does not.
Good personality.
Maybe, but at some point, maybe you have to start looking at the player as part of the problem and not the solution.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the whole problem. Our roster is littered with problems, and our coaching seems to be a problem in and of itself. But Jeff Skinner, having been through like 3 or 4 coaches here.
Yeah, 3 or 4 coaches. I mean, yeah, because Kruger basically destroyed him, and then he played Halsey, Kruger, and now Granato were his coaches. I mean, the guy has a great personality. He's a funny guy.
Oh yeah, I love him,
and he's happy-go-lucky, which is is amazing with the way his career has been going so far in terms of like record-wise. So good for him. Yeah. But he is making pretty good money. So I mean, I would be happy too. But besides that, like you said, his non-commitment to defense, and this team and he doesn't really have the accountability when it comes to defense too. Yeah. I wonder how much of that rubs on the other players too, these younger guys. So, I mean, yeah, if we can ship him off, I would be totally fine with that. It's going to be tough to do that, but I'm sure there's a team with a lot of cap space that needs to just get a goal scorer out there.
Yeah. I'm sure there would be teams, especially at retained salary, that would love to have Skinner. But
yeah,
again, I don't think that he's necessarily the solution to any problems if you're trying to win in the NHL. Exactly. And that really hurts me to say, because I really do love the guy. But
yeah. Oh, exactly. So, yeah, he's not the end-all, be-all of the problems of the Sabres. It's a whole team thing, a whole organization thing at this point. I wouldn't even say team, organizational thing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, it goes back to the Pagulas and then just everything down. Like, it's we have not been a playoff team in so many years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can't just look at one facet. You can't point at a roster, point at a coach, and be like, "That's the only thing that's been going wrong in this organization." Because
Yeah.
here we are, like 13 years later, still outside the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I never understood why well, the whole Pat LaFontaine thing when they first hired him to be the president of hockey operations, and that his weird departure back when the Pagulas purchased the team. I'm surprised they haven't tried to do that again, especially now that Kim Pagula's been sick and she's no longer part of like the Sabres or even the Bills. Why don't they just bring somebody in who knows hockey at this point? Because clearly Terry Pagula doesn't only cares about the business side, doesn't really care about the team itself. So, I mean, they should look into that. How's the game looking so far?
They just started. I didn't even know that we were on a penalty kill, but we started the period down a guy, and that's very exciting. Get to see Jordan Greenway play his best hockey.
There you go. And he had a goal tonight too. So
yeah,
I mean, showing up. So yeah, I know that there were some rumors going on, trade rumors. So we'll delve into those. So what's the big one that everyone's talking about here, Sam?
I have heard just about every name, so I don't know. The one that's been most talked about has been Casey Middlestat.
Yeah.
And again, I think we've talked about this already. Personally, I would love to retain him. I think Middlestat is a great player and not one that we have much of. Guys like the kind of just high scoring, no defense. Like we have Thompsons, we have Skinners, and we have those guys in our prospect pool as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have Olafson. We have those are guys that I would much rather quickly get rid of than. And I'm not saying I want to get rid of like Thompson. Obviously I recognize his value, but like my point being like we have similar stylistic players in our prospect system. We don't have a Casey Middlestat. Kind of a jack of all trades that you can put in any situation, any line, and he will make it better. We don't have that, except for on our roster right now. And if we're looking to trade any of our guys, he's our most helpful one.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, I would want to have him on my team. If I were trading for someone around the league, I'd want them to be like Middlestat. Yep. So all of these rumors, I heard that like Adams won't even talk to or hasn't like talked to Middlestat about any like sort of contract extension. Like at least have that conversation.
And this is I it's not even the rumors about him being traded. It's more of like the circus that's going around about this because you hear Andrew Peters saying that hey, he's hearing from another hockey executive, and if you listen to their show, he said he's very reliable and he wouldn't put it out there, which I don't know. I mean, whatever. Right. But either way, he's definitely being shopped around, is what he said.
Right.
And then now you have Kevin Adams coming out saying, no, I'm definitely not shopping him around. The other people are like, no, he's definitely shopping him around because Kevin Adams negotiates through the media all the time. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I can't imagine what's going through Casey Middlestat's head because you're sitting there just being like, okay, you haven't even approached me about a new contract. And not even just like preliminary talks, nothing crazy, just to be like, hey, we want to keep you on the team. We're going to discuss that at the end of the season type of thing. Just give the guy some insurances.
Yeah.
So now he's getting pelted with all these questions about, am I staying? Am I being traded? Like, what's the plan here? Kevin Adams is just talking out in the media on WGR today saying, I haven't talked to anybody about trading Middlestat. And it's just like, well, how much of this is just blowing smoke at this point? Because, I mean, I understand, like you said, Middlestat has been the best all-around player for this team. He plays offense, he plays defense, he passes the puck, he sets up other players, and he's our leading point scorer this year. So, he's not having I wouldn't say he's not having a season where it's just out of the blue, all of a sudden good. Like this is going to be a career year for him, but this is a lead-in build-up from last season, and you're kind of seeing progression from him at this point, and he's leading into the prime of his career. So, I mean, you've taken you as Kevin Adams, you've taken weird chances and gave Casey, or you gave Dylan Cousins a 7-year contract out of nowhere, and you gave Samuelson a 7-year contract out of nowhere at way too early in their careers. But then Casey Middlestat, who's been slowly progressing, you're not going to give him a contract. You're going to try to trade him away. Just some things aren't adding up. And that's why I'm saying, like, the whole GM thing, too. I mean, how many GMs at this point are we getting rid of? So, does someone score?
6-0.
Who scored?
Alex Tuck.
Okay, another trade rumor guy.
Yeah, so that was another one of the guys, but there was less about him, and it was like very.
Teams are interested in him.
Yeah, teams are interested in him, and Kevin was like, "Nuh-uh." But that's yeah, I think Middlestat might have gotten an assist on that too.
Did Middlestat get an assist on the Greenway goal?
I think that was a direct turnover.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure what happened here either. The replay doesn't go far enough back, but
okay. Yeah, the whole Alex Tuck thing. I mean, the guy's on a very reasonable contract right now. I think he has 2 more years left. It would be crazy for the Sabres to try to get rid of him.
He is definitely not one of the ones we're trying to get rid of.
Yeah. He's just a high character guy too. So
I could see any of our veterans being gone at the line or at the deadline. Like, I don't know why Eric Johnson would want to be here. I don't think Kyle Okposo or Zemgus Girgensons really stick around.
Yeah. What do you think? How would you feel if Girgensons and Okposo, I even think Eric Johnson too, they're all linked to the Bruins. How would you, let's just say 3-player deal to the Bruins. How would you feel about those guys heading over to the Bruins?
I would say it depends on what we get back, but honestly, it doesn't. Like, good for them if they have a chance to like go at it again. Again, Girgensons, one of those players, hasn't ever experienced the playoffs. Kyle Okposo has not done it in a very long time. Eric Johnson, it would kind of be sad if his career just kind of whittled away in Buffalo, as they're like, not going out with a bang, but going out with a whimper kind of deal.
Yeah.
I would be happy for them. I would hope that we'd get something back, especially if you're sending all 3. Like, I'd hope you're getting at least something reasonable. But ultimately, I don't know how much value they all hold individually. So I don't know if I'd look at that and be like, we would definitely need some big piece. Nah, if they want him, and they're willing to give us something.
That's the thing. I mean, is a low round pick even worth it? Would you just be like, hey, maybe just a defensive prospect? Do you have a defensive prospect?
Right. I would take like the defensive prospect. Probably wouldn't take a forward. But another thing that deal would do is just like we were talking about earlier, you get the opportunity to bring up, like, you're just clearing roster spots, and you can say, hey, Rosine Kulik, like, no pressure, but you're going to be in the NHL for the rest of the season. And just like, you're about to figure out what it takes to be an NHLer. Yeah. I don't know how well that works necessarily I don't know if you want to get rid of all of your kind of old guard and then bring in only kids, because who's going to do any standing up for them or teach them any good habits? But the oldest guy on the team would then be Jeff Skinner, maybe, I think, right?
Yeah, because, it goes Okposo, Eric Johnson, and Skinner. Yeah, because Skinner's a year older than me, so I think he's 33 at this point. Yeah,
so Skinner would be our old, reliable kind of leader on the team. And I don't know how that feels for the team. But again, it would only be until the end of the year after trade deadline. And I do, again, if this year is a wash, give those guys that you might want to see next year, give them some time in the NHL.
Now, what do you? I don't know if you saw this, but I saw it during the All-Star break. Rumors about teams interested in Peyton Krebs, specifically the Islanders, were linked to him.
I would pull the trigger right away.
Yeah.
I have loved Peyton Krebs. I love the effort he puts in. I love that he's willing to kind of adapt to different roles, even though that's not what he was drafted for. That's not what he played in juniors. That says a lot about his character, and I really appreciate that about him.
Mm.
He is not developing into the player that you want at the speed that you would want him to. And at some point, well, people might still think he has value. Jordan Greenway scores for a seventh. Well, some people still think he might have value. Pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Get someone who thinks that they could fix him and get something out of him. Well, it's still an option.
Do you think he needs fixing, or do you think he needs an opportunity to play up in a higher line with better line mates?
If the problem is him needing an opportunity to play up in a better lineup or up on a better line, if we end up making these like preliminary trades and we have him until the end of the year at least,
Yeah.
I would be putting him on like some sort of only skill line.
Yeah.
And just seeing. Maybe he gets Kulik and Rosine right on his line.
Yeah.
And is told, you know what? None of your teammates or line mates are going to be playing defense. Just try and score. And that could be his tryout to see, like, can you actually produce offense at an NHL level, which you haven't proven you could do. And I'd be willing to support that experiment for half a season.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't work at the end of the season, I would pull the trigger. I would say, all right, we tried it. We tried giving you line mates that could do offense instead of only just kind of like defensive specialist kind of guys. And
Yeah.
I would move on. I don't think holding on to him for too much longer will be valuable to the Sabres as an organization.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, the guy came in, he kind of came in hot to the Sabres organization, like was their top prospect at that point and was considered as a goal scorer / playmaker. And then he's kind of fallen off to this fourth line banger. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't want that for the guy. I don't want him being the fighter or the tough guy on this team. We definitely need to, he needs to be, I personally want him to get a chance, if not on this team, somewhere else where he can develop into the player that he's supposed to be, just because, I don't know. I don't want my 5'10" guy fighting somebody. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. I appreciate his willingness to step in and try and be a tough guy. Because again, we've had these conversations, right? Where like someone has to do it. You have all of these skill guys in your prospect pipeline. How do you distinguish yourself? And Peyton Krebs said, well, I can play a fourth line role.
Yeah.
And it's been at the expense of maybe some of his development. If he could keep kind of that grittiness and that effort and that willingness to engage with the other team in the way that he does, while also picking up the points, then that experiment by putting him on the fourth line is actually worthwhile, because now you have a rounded player instead of these just like high offense prospects that we have in our system, right? If it doesn't work out and he never gets that scoring touch back, that playmaking ability that he had or that we were sold on for him, then you've ruined a prospect by doing that, right? Like,
yeah,
he's no longer like projected as a second liner, but now at best he's a fourth liner. And that's disappointing. And it sucks for him too, because obviously it's clear the effort that he puts in, that he's willing to adapt his game, that he did not like, this was not his game that he played. And he's willing to adapt just to kind of like find his place on the team because that was what was available. It would suck if that's kind of what ends up hurting his career in the long run.
Yeah. No, and like you said, it's just disappointing for the player because you want to see him develop into something. And he's a good personality too. He's a team player first guy as well. So if he ends up going, I'm fine with that. Like, I hope he's going to a team that's going to, bring him to his potential, because right now he's kind of stuck at the bottom with the Sabres. But after that 7th goal, Mike asks, are the Kings a good team? Sam?
They are okay. They are currently in 8th, tied for 7th. So like 7th or 8th in the West. So therefore they're a wild card team right now. But Clearly, it's not going too well. They just showed a graphic that the Sabres have scored 11 straight goals versus the Kings. So that's pretty impressive, honestly.
I'm trying to think. Did they lose on the road trip to the Kings?
No, we were going
They
we went down like
no
3-1
one,
and then
and they
won
made
5-1, I think, or
yeah
like something like that, or like 5-2, maybe something.
yeah they were down early. I remember, and everyone shut off. Yeah,
Or
you're right. They were down
3. I don't
early.
know. We were down 3-1. I don't know. I said 5-1. We
Yeah,
won
the
5-3. I think
three.
is what the
Yeah,
final score was.
yep.
And
Um,
so, yeah, that's maybe we just figured out how to play the Kings and only the Kings, and that's what happened. But the Kings have been a better team than us. They're in a wild card spot currently. They
yeah.
did fire their coach over the All-Star break, so there was obviously something not going to their liking where
Mhm.
they felt the need to address it. But again, I don't think that this thrashing is necessarily indicative of where our teams stand in
No,
reference to one another.
this isn't going to last long. This is this is not going to be a long lasting team. And then yeah, Mike, dang, why can't we see this more consistently? I mean, hell, it's either really bad or really good. How about we just play consistently? And I think we harped on this earlier. It's just an organizational thing. There's just the players don't have accountability, the coaching doesn't have accountability, the GM doesn't have accountability, and then that trickles all down from ownership. It's just the team just doesn't, like you said, they came out flat before the All-Star break, and they came out flat after the All-Star break. They just don't play inspired hockey, and when things are getting tough, they don't try to do anything to change things up. It is literally um, they are just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. What's that the definition of? Insanity.
Insanity.
Yeah. Mike.
So yeah, Mike's gonna be flying into the game this month with the paper bag over his head.
That's
Can't
a
wait
big
to see you there
investment,
with my
Mike.
bag on.
To fly to a Sabres game just to put a bag on. That's a lot. I mean, Sabres tickets aren't cheap either. So
Yeah. You were talking about the consistency though. Another thing, like even just like game or like within one game, we start games terribly. Like our first period, we do not get onto the ice in any given game and look good. Our first periods are, I think we're the worst first period team, like including the Sharks.
yeah.
How is that? They're terrible. They are like an all-time tank team,
Mm-hmm. No.
and we can't show up to games. But
This is like you said, it's been a theme for every game throughout the season. Is they're down 2-0 by the end of the first period for like I would say 80% of their games, and it's
yeah,
just like what do and then if they rally and come back in that game, I don't know what inspires them, but I don't get it. There's nothing there. And even to say like, well, last year was all about goaltending. Now you have a goaltender who's playing pretty decently, which someone also brought him up, possibly being in trade rumors. Selwyn high. I don't know how you feel
yeah.
about that, Sam.
No, I would just keep him right now. We've been lacking for a really long time.
What's that, Sam?
A starting goaltender.
How did I know you were going to say that?
Because it's been one of the biggest issues over the last couple of years. Ever since we got rid of Olmark, and even when we had Olmark, like he was good for 1 year, and before that, it was a tandem of a not developed Olmark and a guy who could only see out of one eye. Like
Was that Connor Hutton? Was
yeah,
that him?
Hutton
He was put
partially
back when
blind.
Allmark was on the team.
Yeah, they played together. They were a tandem.
I can't. Yeah, man, it's been a while.
Before that, we got the inconsistency of Robin Leonard. So goaltending has not been stable since Ryan Miller, really, for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you had Ryan Miller. The Sabres actually had a long line of great goaltending. You went from Dominic Hasek to Marty Baron, and who was the backup for Baron at that point? Shoot, he was another top end prospect too. I
Yes,
forgot.
Patrick Lalime.
No, it wasn't Patrick Lilly.
He was in there somewhere.
He was after
He was
Ryan
after?
Miller.
Okay.
Yeah, because then Marty Baron. Because then you had Marty Baron, then you had Ryan Miller, and you had I forgot what his other
Jonas Enroth.
No, Jonas Enroth was after Miller. So Miller was supposed to hand the crown over to Enroth, but then Enroth, do you know what his problem was?
He was too short.
Yeah. There might be a theme coming up with Levi if that ever happens. So
no, don't jinx it this early. Levi's the next Saros. Levi's the next Saros. There's not going to be an issue with his shortness, guys. I promise.
Oh man, now I'm gonna have to look up this goaltender. But yeah, it's been insane that after Ryan Miller left, the instability at goaltender has been crazy.
Yeah, we were spoiled, really.
Remember, yeah, basically people are booing Patrick Lalime off the team. Like he didn't even want to play on the team anymore, but no one wanted to trade for him, and the Sabres couldn't cut him, or because they had no goaltending prospects. So that was a really awkward situation in the organization.
Yeah. But that's all to say. We have a goaltender who's playing like a starting goaltender right now. Why would you throw that away? He's young enough where you could still retain him for a while. Like your rebuild could happen and he's still the goalie. And if you get to a point where Levi develops the way you want to and you can get rid of him, okay. If you get to a point where Levi doesn't develop, you still have him. Why would you be entertaining offers for your first starting goaltender in however many years?
And they want it, and rumor is they want to trade for John Gibson. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, no, look at the Ducks. I mean, I know he's on a bad team, but the Sabres are a bad team too. And I think
Levi's doing better with his bad team, or Luukkonen is doing better with his bad team than Gibson is. Luukkonen has, even in games where we're losing recently, Luukkonen has looked good, like a real NHL starter. Yeah. And I'm currently not willing to part with that because I need this. This is the one thing I can hold on to this season.
Yeah. I think the expected expected goals against for between Gibson and our Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I think UPL is 29 and Gibson's 28. So how much of a difference does that even make?
Yeah.
And one guy's at the end of his career and the other guy's just starting his career. So that's just insanity. Right. And the fact is, people are like, well, you don't want to come in with a tandem of UPL and Levi next year. It's like, yeah, of course you don't want to do that. So then bring in a guy during free agency if you want to keep Levi down in the Amherst and get more time starting. That's the only what I'm saying. You could have the tandem, but if you want Levi to still develop and get more starting experience, then have him the Amherst.
Going into next year with Levi and Luukkonen, I would feel much more confident than I did going into this year with Levi and Luukkonen.
Yeah.
If not only one, you're giving Levi the chance. I said this before the season started. Mm-hmm. Levi has went straight from college to the NHL. Goalies don't do that. They need time to cook in the AHL. Levi's getting that time to cook. Hopefully he goes on a playoff run down there. Hopefully he gets some valuable experience. And while that's all happening, Luukkonen, who wasn't a starter at the beginning of this season, he's earned it.
Yeah.
He's here now, and he's playing like a starter, and it doesn't feel like a fluke. If you start next year with a goalie who hopefully has played well in the AHL and a goalie who solidified himself as a starter, that's an okay tandem going into the year.
Yeah. Do you think, let's just say UPL keeps this pace throughout the end of the season, Levi brings, let's say he brings the Amherst into second, third round of the playoffs for the Amherst. Is there a goalie battle next year, or is UPL given the starter's job?
UPL is given the starter's job, I think.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe I think that it would be UPL's given the starter job, and Levi is fighting for how many games he can earn.
Yeah.
Whereas instead, because given Lee or Luukkonen's like the amount he's been playing this year, or like since really he was given the starting position since we started like sending Levi down, Luukkonen has played, I want to say, a like 65 game pace. That leaves 17 other games. If you're Levi and you're going in the next season, you're not looking at how many, or you're not looking at trying to take the starter at this point, unless you really hit your stride. You're looking at how many games can I take away beyond that 17?
No, exactly. So I think UPL, just from his work from this season, being a steady goaltender and having a terrible team in front of him, has definitely earned the starters starting nod for next year. Just don't let it get to your head, UPL. That's all I'm going to say. But just to bring back Mika Nornen. So you had
Mika Nornen, okay.
Yeah, so you had three. Well, Mika Nornen, he didn't really pan out afterwards, but he was he was like a top end prospect at NHL as a goaltender. And he was supposed to be the future of the Sabres, but then Ryan Miller showed up and just destroyed everything. Well, destroyed everything for Mika Nornen, but no, that's been good. But there was a trade rumor for the Sabres looking at a player from the Flyers.
From the Flyers, hold on. I'm drawing blanks. Ristolainen, we're bringing him back.
No,
we need defensemen.
He had a career year last year.
Joel Farabee.
Nope.
Ugh. Was he once a Duck?
I don't believe he was ever. I think he's only been a Philadelphia Flyer.
So not Drysdale.
Yeah.
Is it a defenseman?
No, it's a center.
Why are we doing that?
Scott Lawton.
Okay, Scott Lawton. I never would have gotten there. my 20 questions guesses were never going to bring me to Scott Lawton.
So yeah, last year was his career year. He had, let me just go back to it real quick. He had 18 goals, 25 assists for 43 points, -9. He's just kind of like, remember when we mentioned maybe next year we'll on our fourth line we just get an upgraded Eric Robinson, but not too much. This is what Scott Lawton would be for this team.
Okay. I'm looking at that. I'm like listening to those. I'm like, career year?
And he's had a long career. I mean, the dude has been playing in the NHL since 2012, 2013. So when the Sabres drought started happening. So he's a year younger than me. He's 31 years old.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure that's the if I'm circling players on the
a difference maker. That's the big
yeah. The difference maker is the word I'm looking for. I'm not sure. I'm like, this is the guy in the league that's available that I think changes the dynamic of our team enough. Again, we just keep putting in stopgaps, right? Tyson Jost, Eric Robinson, even some of our like veteran defenseman guys, like you bring in Eric Johnson. He's not going to change the complexion of the team, and neither is Scott Lawton.
No,
that's not a guy that's going. And I don't know why Kevin Adams thinks at this point that the ship just needs a little tape over it, because like it's clear that that's not what's happening anymore. We need something. Did they just score on us with 1 or 3 seconds?
No.
Something happened. I don't think they did. Maybe it went out of play.
Yeah. I mean, Scott Lyon's not going to be the answer to our prayers. So if you were to make a move like that, I think that only pisses off the fan base even more. But after the whistle guys did bring up,
They didn't score, by the way.
okay, that's good. Why would you kind of like sell out for? Well, I wouldn't sell out, but would you take a run at Mackenzie Weegar?
Is he in? He's in Calgary right
Calgary.
now, right?
Yeah.
Well,
He's leading
I
the
maybe would. I would consider it. I don't know what the price would be. I know that everyone in Calgary is kind of underperforming right now, so maybe that drops the value a little bit. But buying low is always a good strategy. And if I don't know what he's specifically doing this year, but if it's lower than what his previous years was, I would consider putting in a offer and hoping that the value is low enough right now.
He might be leading the NHL defenseman in goals.
Well, that ruins my whole plan.
15 goals.
Okay. Well,
17 assists, 32 points. And he's a plus 13 on that team.
It's cool that you picked the only guy on the team who wasn't underperforming.
I'm the only guy. I mean, I'm just bringing it up because, oh, shoot. Who's the other guy on that show? Andrew Peters.
Craig Revay.
That's his cousin. And he's talked to Mackenzie. Yeah. You didn't know they were related?
No, not.
Yeah, that's his cousin, and he's talked to Mackenzie Weegar, and he doesn't want to be on the Flames, and he's totally open to coming to the Sabres and helping be a leader on this team.
Well, again, I don't know how much stock I put into any of the rumors that come from that show.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more because, the cousins thing, but if he wanted to be on this team, I would welcome him with open arms because from what I've seen of him, he's a good player. We need defensemen.
Mm-hmm. Bright shot defenseman, too. So he would come a little bit of a premium. So I think that might lead to, giving up Savoy, which I'm totally not opposed to be honest with you.
Oh, no.
Yeah. An offensive prospect with a lot of skill. Not sure if he's going to make it here. See ya.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm totally down for that. They even mentioned, well, what about Nazem Kadri too, which I'm totally for as well. He's older in his career, but
yeah, I would be pretty just again lukewarm on Nazem Kadri. If he were here and he were bought into being here, yeah, that'd be nice. I don't think he's got a big contract right now, I believe.
Yeah, he does. He gets paid pretty decently for a guy.
And I don't think he gets. I think he gets paid a little more than you want to pay him. So I contract wise, unless they want Jeff Skinner, I don't know that that Kadri is someone that I'm looking at and being like, that's definitely a guy I want on my team. But I don't hate the idea.
Yeah, if his contract was lower, I think the team needs a little bit more of a grit or a kind of instigator type of player on the team. So that would be nice to have every once in a while. Problem is they don't have anybody to back up the instigator because I don't think Kadri fights that much, if I recall his career.
Yeah,
he's like a Chuck. He just gets in there, pisses everybody off, and then skates away, and then has his team deal with it. Which I'm surprised teammates like that. Sometimes I'd be like, dude, why am I doing this for you all the time?
Yeah, right. Why am I? You got yourself into this one. I don't know why I have to get you out of it, but
yeah.
But so, it definitely does bring at least a little energy.
Yeah.
Even if you're a little annoyed, guess what? You're in the scrum now. You have to bring at least a little enthusiasm, and that can get players in the game, get their heads more competitive. But again, I would be looking at someone else to do that for us rather than him and his contract. But for cheap, I would not oppose the idea.
Yeah. That is pretty much all I've heard for potentials. Was there anything else that you heard at all for trade rumors?
No, I think we covered all the major trade rumors. We did just finish that game. It was a 7-0 game.
Yeah.
So we can now go over the 3 games that happened this week. The most recent being Kings 7-0. We got scoring from, it feels like just about everyone. but it's Jordan Greenway with 2 goals, Darlene with a goal, Paterka with a goal, Tuck, Benson, and Okposo. If you didn't see the Benson goal, it was dazzling. That guy can really work it. Like when it's within his feet, he can do a lot. And you know what else? Jacob Bryson with 2 assists and now a record of 6-0-0 because Jacob Bryson is an elite NHL defenseman, and I'm sick of pretending he isn't.
No comment.
No comment?
I played the fifth on that comment.
No comment? Okay.
I mean, if he has a horseshoe up his you-know-what, then that's great. It's helping out the team. But
I wonder if it's a matter of some of the injured players maybe having more of a negative impact than we think about. Like Samuelson this year has not been that good.
No.
Just straight up, he has not been great. And so I wonder if maybe taking him off the ice and just getting different looks is helping a little bit. I don't think in the long run that Jacob Bryson actually helps over Samuelson. But right now, maybe just having a different look at the defensive lineup is helping the team. So
yeah, that could be an option. I mean, you have a guy like Bryson who's playing for his NHL career at this point, so I don't know how much of a difference he's really making on the team. But like you said, if he's a more of a positive than the 2 guys that are out right now, it's a little concerning because they both are signed to long-term contracts.
Yep. But I don't want to think about the long term because that's sad. So let's go back in time to the Blues game that happened on Saturday, and that was a 3-1 loss where we had 1 goal by Kyle Okposo, and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had an 8.85. That's the only game this week where he was below 500. Yeah. Other than that, like he's been pretty good. And even in that game, I thought he did very well. But he was left out to dry several times. He came up with several big saves. And even if he saved 1 more of those goals, guess what? We still lost. So whatever. Not Luukkonen's fault. Yeah. And then going back even further to Tuesday, where we were supposed to have a show, and what would we have talked about? Probably just the All-Star break. That's fun.
Yeah.
Not much would have happened that week. But anyway, we faced Dallas, and it was a 2-1 loss with our goal coming from Tage Thompson. And we had 48 shots on Jake Ottinger. Mm-hmm. Our goalie played well. We got goalied. We could have won that game. I think we should have won that game. Jake Ottinger played on his head. I know all of them weren't like the highest danger shots, but
yeah, I was just going to ask you that question.
he had some great plays, and that game against most other goalies probably sees it going our way. So,
yeah. The 47 shots thing. I mean, even after the game, even the players were talking, we need to get guys up in front of the net, banking off of rebounds, getting goals that way. They still didn't do that against the Blues game. I mean, this is the story of the Sabres season. I mean, I'm not going to rehash what I said. If you're watching the show afterwards, after it's live, and you want to hear me go off on another tangent, just go back to like the 5-minute mark and then insert here because it's the same thing. I mean, doing the same thing over and over again. I think at the beginning of the season we were complaining because they weren't taking enough shots, right? And now they're taking more shots, but their shots are just not from high danger areas. So, I mean, it's making it easier to get goalied by goalies, even backup goalies too. I mean, who's the guy in Montreal just that has the day against us every single time? Is it Primo or whatever?
Caden Primo? I don't know.
Yeah.
They have Montembeault, Primo, and Allen. And I
Yeah.
think that we normally do pretty well against Allen. Jeff Skinner seems to really like scoring on him.
Allen goalied us the first game against Montreal. I remember that. So I remember us having the Allen conversation between Josh Allen and Allen. Jake
Right.
Allen.
Yeah.
2 J Allens. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can't even give it 3 stars for the week at this point. It's just gonna go to the fans. I mean, like, thanks for surviving the season. If you're still watching games, like, God bless you. That's gonna be my 3 stars. Sorry, I already jumped the shark here.
Yeah, no, that's it's a good segue. You talked about how it's been mid, and then we talked about how there's probably not even 3 stars.
Yeah,
It's fine. I get it.
yeah.
And you know what? It's perfect because we currently have 3 viewers and we only have 3 stars to give out. So
Yeah, one of them being Mike.
shout out to you, Mike. You are definitely one of the stars of our week.
Yes, on every week, always making comments. We appreciate it. That our fine leader of Nickel City Mafia.
For me, though, personally, I'm gonna give my 3 stars. One, I gotta give it to Lukanen. Just got the shutout, and honestly, in the other 2 games, he gave you a chance to survive. I'm gonna give one of my stars to Greenway because he shows up with effort every time he's on the ice. He scores 2 this game, and that's not always his game, but it's nice to see him get rewarded for it. And of course, our horseshoe, giving it to Jacob Bryson.
Oh my
God. 1 game this week, 2 points, and obviously a resounding win in the game he did play. We never seem to lose with him.
He's our good luck charm.
He's
It's a little bit too late in the season, though, for this.
Not if he wins every game.
All right. Well, when do they play next? Who do they play next?
What a great segue. So upcoming, we have... No, but for real, upcoming, we have the Panthers on Thursday.
Oof.
And we are home. And then we're away against the Wild. And then we're back home to greet the Ducks on Monday. By the way, some weird start times. So Wild Saturday, 5:00. Ducks Monday, 12:30. So
is that President's Day?
Perhaps.
I think
either way, weird start times to look out for if you guys are trying to catch any of these games. What are you hoping to see in the next 3 games we have coming up?
I'm gonna just roll over the Panthers game. We're gonna get shit pumped. I mean, I'm sorry.
Where's your faith?
Well, they're coming off. They're going to be coming off a 7-0 win. They're going to be acting like they've done stuff. Then the Florida Panthers going to roll in, and Sam Reinhart's going to be like, "Screw these guys! Look at me now. I'm not just a guy who stands in front of the net and banks and rebounds. I can score from. I can score from anywhere at this point because I'm waiting for my new contract. But I'm still going to give the old 1-2 to the Sabres at this point. So, no, I don't have faith in that Panthers game. So I'm gonna act like it's not there. So the Minnesota game and the Anaheim Ducks game. I mean, you're facing the Minnesota Wild, who are average, and you're facing the Ducks, who are bad, but you lost to the Ducks, or you lost and then you won against the Ducks. Did they win against the Ducks? Or they lost?
I'm not sure. Because you said we lost, and I'm like, I remember us losing. And they said we won. I'm like, do we play them more than twice a year?
What was that West Coast road trip? We lost
to the Ducks, beat the Kings, beat the Sharks. Yeah, so that was the West Coast. But it actually started, it was a long road trip because we faced Chicago. Wait. No, that was at home. Never mind. Yeah. Just those games.
Well, you got to exact revenge against the Ducks, so you better win that game. And they're coming out towards your way, so you should be able to beat them. The Minnesota Wild. I mean, uh, maybe they come back and you know they get shit pumped by the Panthers, and then they come back and they win again at like a 6-0 pace, And after that, we go on a nice 2-game win streak, and we get pumped by the next team after that. That's my plan for the Sabres.
I like that you went back to the shit pump because Mike seemed to be amused by that one.
Mike is a hockey term. Just look it up online. You'll figure out what that means after that. Back in the old locker room days. Yeah.
While we're looking at chat, I don't think we've had the Trek reviewer, so welcome. If this, I believe, this is your first time commenting here. It's nice to see you. And maybe Cam Lewis should be the backup goaltender for the Sabres. No way, he would let too many pucks through the 5-hole. Lol.
Well, Sam.
Yeah. I miss the Trey White goalie academy personally. I thought that was the peak goaltending days for us, but Cam Lewis, I'm sure he he would try his best.
How did the Trek reviewer know that Mike was on the show? Because Trek reviewer and Mike fight over Cam Lewis all the time on Mike's show, Mike and Jake's show.
So that okay.
Yeah.
So you watch the football show.
Yeah. So this is the only reason why I know this. So yeah, exactly. Mike likes Cam Lewis. Trek review hates Cam Lewis. So
all righty.
Just want to catch you up to speed on this, Sam.
Yeah. I was a little bit confused by the sentiment. I'm like, I don't know why we're just taking shots at Cam Lewis now, but yeah, okay.
I mean, if Trey White's looking for a new career, he can be a goaltender. We'll see how that goes. He might have the flexibility, but he did just tear his Achilles.
Yeah. I mean, he was always the goaltender coach. It's the Trey White Goaltender Academy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, for my upcoming week, what I would like to see, and I believe in the team more than you do.
Yes, you do.
This is the week. We're getting our first 3-game win streak. We're taking that 7-goal momentum. We're beating the Panthers. Yeah. I can hold my head up high after this upcoming week.
Knowing want to make a bet on this?
We can sort out the details afterwards.
Oh, well, you don't want to do this on the show, Sam? Why not, Sam?
Because I do not condone sports betting. You guys shouldn't do it unless of course it's something that.
I mean, we'll just do another waffle bet. Someone has to eat waffles on the next show.
Yeah. No, we're all going to We're all going to
Sam does not want to take this bet at all.
We'll sort this out later. We'll inform you guys next show what ended up happening. Anyway, we win this game.
Liar.
We win against Minnesota. We have our first 3-game win streak. All of Buffalo rejoices. The Cup Parade is back on. We lose against Anaheim.
I mean, I believe that last one totally.
And the whole time, what I want to see is just at least like continue the vibes, the high energy. They came out tonight, and at the beginning of the game, they were playing with just like a certain level of moxie that we haven't seen. They score 7 goals. Luukkonen looks good. Like everyone was feeling confident in this game, and it showed. We killed off penalties. We scored on power plays. Bring that into the next couple of games. And again, for the 18th time this season, show you care. But
now, confidence out of 10 that what you just said is going to happen.
The Anaheim thing, 10 out of 10. I believe it.
The other ones.
Oh, the other two. You were asking about those. No, yeah. I have like 50% confidence that we could do that. And honestly, I believe that Luukkonen will hold us in every game that we play this week. That's how it's been going recently. So it's it's too early to doubt them.
I mean, I finally figured out the coach who Don Granato reminds me of in Sabres history, and it's Ron Rolston. And if you don't know who Ron Rolston is, it's the coach that took over after Lindy Ruff left, and that was, I mean, that guy had the charisma of a dead body. So Don Granato. Even the coaches don't even have high energy. Like Granato, you just listen to him. He's just like, he doesn't get excited. He's a plank. He's plank from Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Just a smiling face there, just staring off into the distance. So I'm sorry.
I love all these things you have to say about his personality. That was very amusing.
He's a nice
guy. The charisma
guy.
of a dead body is a crazy line to drop about him, but I love that. Thank you for that.
No problem. We need some shorts on YouTube right now. Clip that, Mike.
Well, anyway, I believe that's been our week. 2 weeks in review. It's been it's been fun just being back here with all of you guys after the week off. Make sure
though. Come on now. Come on.
I'm sorry, but Patrick could only get a cup for Buffalo. If not, Patrick could not get a cup for Buffalo. No one can. No, this is where you're wrong. This is where you're wrong because we have the next incarnation of UC Saros in Devin Levi. So that's all right. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything ridiculous here.
Yeah. Whoa.
But that's gonna be offset by the fact that both our teams are cursed. How worried would you guys be that if the Sabres are losing money, they would sell the team? Before we part, we can finish up with some questions. Some pessimistic sounding questions.
So I've heard the rumors that the Pegulas might be possibly shopping the Sabres. Because Terry Pegula bought the Sabres for like $130 million. I know it was below $200 million. And now the evaluation, even though how bad the team is, but how expensive NHL teams are costing, the Sabres value is at like $900 million or maybe around high 800s.
I think it's lower than that.
Really?
I think some of the teams are around there, and like the Maple Leafs, New York Rangers, they're well over $1 billion, I believe. But a lot of the like kind of lower end teams are not looking that healthy. I would reckon it's like 600,000.
Whoa, that's low. 600,000
or 600 million. Sorry,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, you know what? Maybe they've gone up more recently than I thought they have. Buffalo Sabres. 750. So
yeah, all right. So
kind of between us.
Yeah, around 800. I mean, that's a lot of money for the Sabres with how bad the organization's been. So the fear is with the Sabres being sold that people are going to be, they're going to want to move the Sabres, which I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think, even with a new owner, I don't think that's happening because the Sabres Buffalo is such a great hockey town. They're developing great hockey prospects, and they see in the Buffalo Bills what you get out of Buffalo fans too. Like you have people that buy into the team when you have a competitive, good team. So I'm not opposed to like the Sabres being sold and maybe getting new ownership and maybe bringing something else in. So I'm not too worried about that, to be totally honest with you, just because I think Buffalo overall, I think USA Hockey has a lot of stock put into Buffalo too. So to lose an NHL team at Buffalo would be a major hit. And I'm pretty sure Buffalo is like one of the highest rated TV markets for NHL too during the playoffs, especially. So I'm not worried about it. What about you, Sam?
I'm conflicted, right? Because anytime you sell the team, even if you don't think that they're going to move, there's still the chance, right? If you sell the team to someone, you never know what the owner might want to do with it. I heard they were trying to get the owner of the Utah basketball team wanted a team in NHL team in Utah. Like if the Sabres go on the market, who is to say that that's not the guy who's like, I want this team. We're moving to Utah now. Like obviously, yes, it's known that Buffalo is a good hockey market when the team's doing well, and so like someone looking to capitalize on that might be like, we're keeping it here. There's always that potential though. You sell the team, it's got a chance that it moves. And that's the reality of the situation. However, I would love for the team to be outside of the hands of the Pagulas.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that they have managed this team well in the time that they have owned it. And I do seriously attribute some of the failures, if not all of them, to the ownership. Because through all of the coaches, all of the GMs, and all of the rosters, one thing has remained consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the output. We did terribly. No, it's the owner is being there, right? Like it's been bad, and they are not the solution. So
I agree with you there. Truck reviewer.
Truck reviewer is just taking shots right now.
He is. I mean, he does this during the Mike show too.
You know what? I appreciate the hot takes, but no.
Was
Levi
was half the goaltender? Was he like 10 foot? Or actually, would it be like 11 foot?
Steve Shields was 6'3", but yeah, I do think that the 11-foot goaltender would be a fun sight to see.
Yeah.
And in which case, Levi would in fact be half the goaltender that Steve Shields was. But
yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, you were signing off. Go ahead, Sam.
Radio, back to the sign off. Thank you, everybody, for coming out, watching the stream, and catching it live. And if you're watching it on YouTube later, make sure to leave a comment, subscribe, like, to turn on the notifications that you can catch us whenever we're going live. And if you put something into the comments, we'll make sure to look at that and address it during the next video. You got anything else to say, Don?
No. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.